Once more, you are welcome back to my channel. Let us watch this moment that captured when the military arrested a terrorist informant. As you can clearly hear from him in the course of interrogation, that is from Borno State, Michika to be precise. And this a man who specialized in planting bomb, explosive in places of worship, in public spaces, and he is an expert in gathering information intelligence for the terrorists. I must say this is a major breakthrough, because without this actionable intelligence that is being gathered by this type of personality, the terrorists cannot operate. And they say it takes two to tango. I think this is exactly what they are saying. Because if such character is arrested and isolated from the society, I want to say that it will make the society safer, because it will definitely reduce the capacity of the terrorists to wreak havoc, because they cannot operate without intelligence. Looking at the innocent looking nature of the man in question, you can begin to wonder whether this one could have been this terrible. But thank God for intelligent driven nature of the personnel who were able to quickly identify and apprehend them. You watch it, you listen to it shortly, because as far as I'm concerned, we don't waste time in bringing such development to your knowledge, because this is exactly the type of intelligence we need. Because it is not just enough to say you are doing kinetic approach. You must have some level of intelligence, actionable one for that matter, that enables you to nip crime in the bud. Because whether we like it or not, this is exactly what it takes to nip crime in the bud. Because all the intelligence that this man has been gathering, that has been paying off today, it stops. Because hence he has been arrested, he has been apprehended. Definitely, the intelligence, the government, the security agency will gather from him, will even give them leverage to even make breakthrough in fight against terrorism. But before we go further, let us listen to him as we come back to further this conversation.
Sir, what is your name?
My name is Ibrahim.
Ibrahim who? Speak louder.
Ibrahim Mohammed.
Where are you from?
I'm from Michika.
Ibrahim Mohammed?
Yes.
Where are you from?
I'm from Michika.
Michika?
Yes.
What is your tribe?
The Michika tribe.
Michika. Are you a Muslim?
Yes.
Okay. Michika. So, what happened? What brought you to this town? Tell me a little about what happened.
I came from Maiduguri. I was going to spy on what...
What happened in Maiduguri?
In Maiduguri, we planted bombs in 2 mosques.
In a mosque?
Yes, a mosque.
In which area?
An area just a little after Kalmari, actually.
After Kalmari?
Yes.
Who sent you to come and plant the bomb?
Our master.
Where is your master?
Where he stays in Bakindutse. He stays in Mubi. That's the town where he is.
He stays in Bakindutse?
Yes.
He stays in Mubi?
Yes.
And where else?
That's where I know he stays.
What is his name?
There are 2 of them. There's Adam and there's Abu Bakar.
Adam and Abu Bakar?
Yes.
Are they Boko Haram?
Yes, they are Boko Haram.
The mosque you planted it in, did they describe the mosque to you from there? Or did they just give you the bomb to go and plant in any mosque?
The mosque was described to us.
What is between them and the owner of the mosque?
I don't know. The mosque is even newly built. I don't know what is between them.
It's newly built?
Yes.
Okay. Who are the people at that mosque?
Izala sect.
Izala?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. So what brought you to this town here in Damaturu?
To come and spy on the local vigilantes and the soldiers.
The local vigilantes and the soldiers?
Yes.
Okay, so when exactly did you come?
Then
What were you going to do after you spied on them?
That's all. I was just told to come and spy on them, and after I've spied, that's it. I should go back.
Go back? Yes. Go back to Maiduguri?
Yes.
Or would you go back to Mubi and from Mubi enter Goza?
I will go back to Maiduguri.
Did they give you transport money?
When I get in, they will pay for me.
Huh?
They will pay when I get in.
When you get in the car?
Yes.
Okay, so when you came here yesterday, did you happen to spy on the soldiers and also on the local vigilantes by any chance?
No, I didn't spy.
Since when did you come to this town?
Yesterday evening.
Huh?
When I came yesterday evening, I met some boys, and I asked them where I could find a place to sleep. The boy told me he didn't have a place to sleep, but that there were some other boys over there I should go and ask. I went and asked them. We went and were lying down in an open field. We had spread something and were lying down. Then a man came and chased us with a stick. We ran. Then some boys, they told us to go and get our sleeping mats and our shoes. So we went back. Just as we put on our shoes, they started following us again. Then the gunmen captured us and brought us to where they live.
So you were taken that same night then?
Yes,
Okay, you said you left a bomb in Maiduguri. Where is it?
at Johnny Station.
You are welcome back. That is why the military, the government always say that the business of fighting terrorism or fighting crime is everybody's business. That is why we often say, if you see something, say something. Because once you are a patriotic Nigerian, if you see any character, any movement that looks suspicious, it behoves on you as a patriotic citizen to alert the authorities. Because that information you give may end up saving a community, saving lives of citizens. You can imagine what havoc this man's activities could have continued doing in the society if not identified, apprehended, as we are seeing. As far as I'm concerned, it's a working development, and we encourage Nigerians to partner with the government in the fight against terrorism. Because as far as I'm concerned, it makes sense to neutralize terrorists. It makes sense to arrest them, prosecute them, to act as deterrent to others, whichever and confess. That is why when we saw the collaboration between Nigerian government and American government that saw the bombing of Lakurawa terrorist group in Sokoto State, particularly in Tagasa local government, it was a work of development. It is irrespective of the opinion of those who sympathize with terrorists, who ask federal government to negotiate with terrorists, who ask federal government not to use strategic approach against terrorists. I maintain my stance, and I continue to stand that terrorists do not deserve attention of government in terms of negotiation. And I continue saying it. The only circumstance upon which federal government or state government or even local governments are justified to negotiate with bandits or terrorists, as the case may be, is when Nigerians are in captivity and perhaps going for their rescue will endanger their lives. For instance, when the Damaturu girls were adopted, when the Chibok girls were arrested, or recently talking about the Yobe school children that were adopted, or the one that happened in Niger State where the Catholic school children were adopted. Under that circumstance, if going for their rescue will endanger their life, even pay ransom to get them out of captivity is not a bad idea. But the question is, having secured their release, what comes next? The government is supposed to move in to start decimating them through air raid, through combat by the military, and all of that. Because these are people who have no value for human life. As far as I'm concerned, what we need as a people, as a country, is for the government, through the armed forces, to possess monopoly of currency power, to smoke all these bandits, all these terrorists out of their hiding places, set them running, and bring them to justice. That is why I'm particularly happy when we saw the federal government of Nigeria recently sign an agreement with a company in America to acquire 12 attack helicopters. I must say this is a work of development, because this will definitely help us to build capacity as a country. Because we want to have more air platforms to take our bandits, to go for precision bombing. Of course, it will definitely reduce the capacity of the terrorists to wreak havoc. Because for me, the only way and approach that is advisable to adopt, apart from kinetic approach, is to ensure that the children who have been given birth to in the north, going forward, do not get radicalized. And how do we do that? The governments of the northern states, the stakeholders, must rise to the occasion to start educating their children. Because I must say it's a worrisome situation, seeing the level of out-of-school children in the north. As you can clearly see in some instances, in some states, you are seeing about 60-something% out-of-school children. In some instances, 50-something, 40 something, 30 something, 20 something, 10, as the case may be. I must say this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable because any child you give birth to are allowed to grow in the wild without proper parental care, without societal guidance. Definitely, those children will be vulnerable to be radicalized, to be recruited into terrorism. And I must say it's part of consequence of what we now face as a people and as a country. That is why we must write to the occasion and press it on the northern stakeholders that you must do the needful. And to do the needful is to take the children out of the streets. But let me quickly say that even when the Jonathan government came up with the idea of elementary schools, and the schools were being built all over the north, all the nook and cranny of the north, but surprisingly, the Buhari government came in and jettisoned the idea. And as we have it, currently, all the laudable projects, idea of Jonathan government is not being carried, or rather is no longer being sustained. But the question now is, why should a northerner, a Buhari for instance, jettison this idea that seek to take the children of the north, the downtrodden, out of the streets? So you got to show that the north, the stakeholders, the elites have an ulterior motive. Perhaps they want to make the children of the downtrodden a willing tool in the hand of the elites so that they can easily micromanage them. But I want to say that the south and the country must not and cannot continue leaving them to do it the way they want. Because the terrorism you breed in the north is already a problem for everyone. It's no longer restricted to the north. We can clearly see what is happening in Edo State. A situation where kidnapping has become a major issue in Ekmoma, in Auchi, in Uromi, in different parts of Edo State. And this as a result of the inability of the authorities to address it head on in the north. So that is why no one should stand aloof. We must all rise and speak to the issue and encourage government to do the needful to fight and address it so that it don't spread to every part of the country. I always say it, that you may say it's not happening in your locality as such, to stand aloof, but I want to say that if it's not addressed, it's a matter of time, it will definitely spread. I want to say that I note with concern the other time that some stakeholders in the north, from the northern part of the country, were blaming federal government for out-of-school children in the north. I must say that though the business and responsibility of training an Nigerian child rests with the third tiers of government, looking at it from the angle of universal basic education. However, what bills of federal government to do is the policy direction and the funding. And this have been doing for the third tiers of government. So the question is, why is it that we are not seeing out-of-school children in the south as we see in the north? You're going to show that there is something fundamentally wrong with the north. And looking at this issue of Fulanis being at the center of every issue of terrorism in the country. Because if you look at what is happening in the Kwara State, even in Edo State, in Zamfara State, in Katsina State, in Plateau State, they are at the center of it. So the question is, why are they synonymous with this issue of terrorism? Looking at what Shegumi stands for in Nigeria, and looking at the way the security situation in Nigeria is being managed, one is tempted to ask some pertinent questions. Because number one, the Fulani terrorists, where are they from? One, it has been established that a good number of them come from neighboring African countries, like Burkina Faso, Libya, Mali, and even Buhari in his time as president is one that revealed that a good number of them come from Libya, who find their way in Nigeria after the fall of Gaddafi. And according to him, that the only training they had is how to shoot gun. So the question now is, by the time somebody is advocating for amnesty for bandits, you begin to wonder, the same people who it has been proven that they come from other part of the country, not Nigeria, are they the same people who should be given amnesty? I think it's a big question we all need to ponder over. Because for me, They do not deserve anything that has to do with amnesty. I've been saying it and I keep saying it because I feel it cannot be overemphasized that the best Nigerian government could do under this circumstance is to acquire monopoly of coercive power, smoke the bandits out of their hiding places, set them running, and bring them to justice. Because as far as I'm concerned, it beats all imagination when you hear a Shegumi talking things like Nigeria is fighting a tribal war. And he will ask, between who and who? He said between the Fulanis and other ethnic groups. He even went further to even say that the government is supposed to stand neutral. Because as far as I'm concerned, I've not seen any scenario, any time it is proven that Nigeria is fighting any tribal war of that nature. And for me, it makes sense to say, let the government go about this through community-based policing. Like the president said the other time, that he had promised his international partners that we are going to come about state police. I want to say that the essence of that state police cannot be overemphasized. It is irrespective of who is against the state police, because I understand that even Mietiala as a body has always kicked against state police. I cannot forget in a hurry recently when the Senate House Committee on Constitutional Review visited Plateau State. When Plateau State governor came up with a proposal of state police, the Mietiala and that's quickly rose to start opposing it. I want to say that we are all in support of state police and encourage every patriotic Nigerian to keep behind every effort to bring about this state police. But as far as I'm concerned, this is the shortest way to inculcate the locals into the security arrangement for them to be able to play their part. Because for me, as far as I'm concerned, it makes no sense to say federal government should not use kinetic approach against the bandits or terrorists, as the case may be. Because these are people who have no value for human life. These are people who maim, rape, kill, kidnap for ransom. As far as I'm concerned, the best we need as a people is to use the federal might, the wrath of the sovereign state of Nigeria against the terrorists. It is irrespective of anybody's opinion. Because you begin to ask, I begin to wonder, the same Mietiala that is saying they don't want state police. In Sunday 2020, they approached Southeast governors requesting with a proposal to float security in that region. Talking about vigilante group. Though the governors of the region rejected it, but the impunity, the boldness with which they even came up with that proposal is questionable. So that is why I'm saying that it doesn't matter the opinion of anybody that is against using force to fight the terrorists. What we encourage government is to continue using force against them. Because when we saw this collaboration between Nigerian government and American government that saw American government bombing Lakurawa terrorist group in Tangasa local government area of Sokoto State, we saw it as a welcome development. Because before that bombing, though it is intelligence-driven operation, nobody knew that Sokoto State is perhaps the corporate headquarters of terrorists. And I want to say that since after that bombing, we have not seen in recent time the terrorists coming to operate with impunity as they hitherto do, particularly in Zamfara and Katsina State, where they used to come out in their numbers, fully armed, in what they always say is negotiation, peace deal with the communities. So it's going to show that that bombing actually registered needed impact. Contrary to the view of and position, contrary to the view and position of some pundits in the north, that the bomb landed in an empty space. I want to say that we have seen people who testified that actually bandits, terrorists were disallowed, that their armory was bombed. Because particularly the local government chairman of Tangaza local government area of Sokoto State was emphatic after the bombing that the place bombed is a no hub of terrorists in that community, in that local government, as the case may be. Apart from that, we have seen correspondent of Arise News going there for fact finding, gathering information for the residents, for the locals, and they actually confirmed that the place that was bombed is a no-hub of terrorists. So it got to show that these terrorists were perhaps hibernating in that area secretly and perhaps deceiving the Nigerian government to go and look for them in other areas. I'm not saying the government should not go and fight them in perhaps Sokoto, Katsina, Benue, Kwara, Plateau, and so on and so forth. I want to say that even the attack we saw in our local government area of Ondo State recently, where they burnt down a police station completely, I want to say that it is diversionary. It looks like Israeli entebbe mathematics in the past, where the Israeli government, Israeli armed forces, went to rescue their citizens who were adopted, and they used diversionary tactics to deceive their enemies so that they could go to rescue their kidnapped or rather adopted citizens. Because if you look at the strategic nature of that attack in Owo, where they burned down that police station, you look and see the bandits, the terrorists, are trying to use it to divert the attention of the government so that the government will no longer go and fight them in the north, so that the government will concentrate their attention in the southwestern part of the country. But don't get it twisted. I'm not saying the government should not fight them in a war. I'm not saying the government should not come the forest, the bushes to destroy them. The point I'm trying to make is why the government fight them in our local government to destroy them. They should not forget that they have a large presence in places like Zamfara, Katsina, Plateau, Kwara, and even Benue, even Kaduna, because of southern Kaduna. So no place should be left unaddressed. No stone should be left unturned in addressing it. As far as I'm concerned, these are common criminals that must be treated as criminals. It is irrespective of the opinion of Shegumi and any other person that share opinion that Shegumi has. They must face the wrath of the sovereign state of Nigeria. Because whether we like it or not, it behoves on the government to protect lives and properties of Nigerians. It behoves on the president, who goes by the name of the president and the commander of the armed forces, to protect the lives and properties of Nigerians. Because as it stands, Section 14, subsection 2B of 1999 Constitution as amended is very clear. That the welfare of the people and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance. More so, as the president, the governors, the local government chairman, in their respective capacities, have sworn to an oath to protect the lives and properties of Nigerians. And this they must do without excuse. Because the question is, if people will leave their country, like Burkina Faso, Libya, Mali, and come to Nigeria to start hibernating, to start causing mayhem, to start adopting people, to start forming terrorist groups, it makes sense for Nigerian government to use the might of the sovereign state of Nigeria against them. That is why I always advocate that all we need as a country is for the government to acquire monopoly of currency power. I'm particularly happy with the news of Nigerian government receiving 29 fighter jets anytime from now. As far as I'm concerned, that will boost our capacity to go for precision bombing against terrorists. Because even with the cooperation and collaboration with the American government and any other foreign partners that we may have, it is good that we have the capacity to do it on our own. Because at some point, those our foreign partners will want to step back and allow us to do the job. So we should be able to build that capacity. And I want to say that the revelation we started seeing of late show that actually these bandits, these terrorists are already on disadvantaged side. Because I've seen a video recently where Fulani terrorists from Zamfara State are already begging the government for peace. I want to say that the Hitato before now do not speak in this manner, because before now they operate with impunity. But seeing that they have been dislodged, some of them may have been killed, some of them are already going into hiding. Even the likes of Toji Bello, who makes video at every given opportunity, have not made any video since then. So there's nothing anybody will tell me. It shows that one is either he's afraid, he's apprehensive, or he may have been killed. If he's alive, he should come out and prove to the world. And I want to say that once he come out to show that he's alive, his life is more in danger because he will be revealing his location because he already know that there's technology available to track him down. So if he's alive, that may perhaps explain the reason he's not coming out to even make videos. So that's why I say kudos to that collaboration between Nigerian government and American government. Because for the first time, the bandits, the terrorists, the Fulani terrorists are in a disadvantaged position. The manner we start to see them come out to brandish dangerous weapons, guns, AK-47, military communities in Zamfara, in Katsina, we no longer see them in that manner. To the point that even in Zamfara state, we saw a disturbing video before now where the Fulani terrorists came out in their number, about 4 or 5 of them, fully armed, to buy phones for themselves. And in that video, people were even rushing to catch a glimpse of them. People were rushing to take photograph with them. Meaning people were already celebrating them. They were already turning celebrities. That is why it's good that we fight this issue as quickly as possible. Because for those who live in those areas, these are the only coercive force they know in their life. And I think that is what was happening in that Tangasa local government area of Sokoto State. Because we begin to see recently that people have now started trooping out to celebrate, to rejoice over that collaboration between Nigerian government and American government that saw American government bombing that Lakurawa terrorist group in Sokoto State. And why it took the people some time before they could come out to celebrate is that they were thinking that the terrorists will come back, but haven't realized that actually the terrorists were decimated, were bombed, are now in disarray. They now realize that freedom that they've been yearning for has come. That the terrorists do not even have the power, the strength they hitherto ascribe to them. Because before then, they were thinking that the terrorists are the government they know. Because the terrorists were the only coercive power, coercive force, coercive group that was visible in the environment. Hence, the government is not able to manage security in those areas. But this bombing have actually revealed that the terrorists do not even have the power they thought they had. But I must say that this trajectory should continue. It is irrespective of the opinion of any terrorist sympathizer. This trajectory should continue. Let us see how we decimate the terrorists to the point where they can no longer come back to wreak havoc. To the point where they can no longer come out to adopt Nigerians. To the point where they can no longer kidnap people for ransom. Because as far as I'm concerned, this even when that blows no one any good, I keep saying it and I continue saying it because I feel it cannot be emphasized. That if you say it's not happening in your locality, in your state, in your local government, as such, that you stand aloof, that you not support effort of government to deal with this. I want to say that it's a matter of time, it will definitely go wrong if it's not addressed. Because in sometime 2009, 2010, when this whole issue of terrorism started, it was restricted to Sambisa Forest, to Yobe State, to Borno State. Nobody could have imagined that in 2025, 2026, that Kwara State will become an epicenter of terrorism. But it's happening in our very eyes as we speak. That is why I encourage every patriotic Nigerian to always support every genuine effort of government to deal with this. But I must encourage government to always remain transparent and carry the public along. That is where I'm charging the new Minister of Defense that Nigerians are waiting to hear from him. Sequel to his promise to investigate who gave the order that saw those military personnel who were guiding the Kebbi school that came under attack and abduction of school children. Before that attack and abduction of school children, who gave the order that saw the military being withdrawn? The Nigerians are eagerly waiting to see the outcome of his investigation and who may have been indicted. And to see that any person indicted is appropriately and adequately being isolated from the military, court-martialed to face necessary disciplinary action to act as deterrent to others. Because I want to say that such person could be the reason the government is not getting results in the fight against terrorism. It has been said over time, even in the time of Jonathan, that terrorist sympathizers are in the government. And we have seen government making some analogy how they intend to fight even those who sponsor terrorism. At times, they make us to believe that it is not as easy as you think to try and prosecute them. But I want to say that Nigerians are not ready to buy into any conversation that says that it is not easy to try terrorist financials. I want to say that no individual should be stronger than Nigerian sovereign state. If you are indicted and you are sponsoring terrorism, Nigeria will be glad and happy to see such person being put on trial, no matter how highly placed. That is where the government will know that the citizens are behind them. Because anytime the citizens see the government doing the right thing in terms of naming, shaming, prosecuting terrorist sympathizers, terrorist sponsors, no matter how highly placed, I want to say that it will gladden the heart of the citizens and they will support government in that regard. Then another issue has to do with the promise of the Minister for Defense, talking about Christopher Musa, where he promised that he's going to investigate the circumstances surrounding the disaliving of that Lieutenant General, who were reportedly disalived by ISWAP members. Nigerians are equally waiting to see the outcome of that investigation, Mr. Minister. But I must say a very big thank you for your time. This is Mr. Matt.